Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to the Corbett Report. This is James Corbett of CorbettReport.com coming to you with another edition of Solutions Watch in a conversation being recorded in April of 2025. Although it may not be April by the time you're watching this. I hope that doesn't confuse you too much. But let me confuse you even more, because we're going to be talking to a guest that you should know by now, because I have talked to him here on Solutions Watch in the past. Specifically, if you go back to the Take Back Our Tech edition of Solutions Watch from August of 2023, you will have seen our guest for today and heard a little bit about Take Back Our Tech and the above phone. But here he is again with some updates and some new information about messaging, which will be of relevance to anyone who likes to, communicate. So let's talk to him. Let's bring him online. Hakeem Anwar, thank you very much for joining us today.
James, blessings. It's good to see you again. And hello, my internet friends. Good to see y'all.
Excellent. Well, thank you for being here. And thank you for doing what you do. But as I say, it's been 2 years since we've talked. And people might not remember, or maybe some people didn't even see that previous conversation. I hope they'll follow the link back to that previous conversation so they can find out more. But why don't you reintroduce yourself for people who didn't see our previous conversation? What is Take Back Our Tech, and why did you start it?
Sure, yeah. So in my past career, in a past life, I was building web and mobile applications for big tech companies and small startups, and it was really unfulfilling. You know, I've kind of had my fingers and everything in the technology world, but I kind of was wondering what's the point of all of this infrastructure, and I was lucky enough to run into a Derek Bros, who you know and we know through the Independent Media Alliance. And Derek and we started to work on the new version of the Freedom Cells website. This was all the way back in 2019, so it's been a little while since then. And I suddenly found myself at the forefront of a burgeoning community of people wondering where the common sense had gone as we plunged into the pandemic the very next year. And so we all congregated online as of course, you know, the internet was kind of a little safe space for us, which was really nice. And one of the things I realized quickly is, although people were taking action, they were working on solutions, growing their own food and all that kind of stuff. They were being very naive with their technology, and they were still using Facebook. They were still planning and building their movements on these big tech systems. And so that was kind of my mission, to get them onto friendly alternative technology. So I started Take Back Our Tech. We've done lots of amazing guides on switching over to Linux. We've done amazing guides on communications and de-Googled phones as well. And with that, there was so much demand. I also started Above, which is a conscious technology company. We build private products, and we have a whole suite of products that could rival Google and Apple's, but it's just 15 of us and a really startup-y environment. So, you know, part of it is proving that you can do all these things the big companies do, but better while respecting everyone's individual freedom and privacy.
Excellent. Well, that obviously resonates with what I'm here to do on Solutions Watch, and what I imagine a lot of the people out there are. And an incredibly important point about taking back our technology is securing communications, because without secure communications, how are you really going to foster any sort of online movement or of any substance that will have any chance of even being able to resist what's coming? On that note, of course, messaging itself is the most basic thing that a lot of people do. And unfortunately, as you say, a lot of people are still very naive about it and may even use some of these big tech messaging apps like those from Facebook and Apple in order to communicate with their trusted colleagues, etc. But that may not be a good idea. And you said you had some good news, I guess, in a sense, about some interesting developments that have taken place along those lines. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, I think if the good news is, if you believe in government action changing things, then you might smile at this headline where Meta and Apple were fined a fraction of $1 billion this week, April 23rd. This comes from Reuters. But this is due to them violating the Digital Markets Act, which is essentially a big tech antitrust type of law passed in the EU, and they accused Apple and Meta of these uncompetitive practices. And so it's really, really ironic, as you can look through Facebook's blog, and they've been working working on making their messaging system interoperable for 2 years, and I'll go into that in a little bit. But they were fined due to Apple not making it easy for developers to install stuff outside of the App Store, and Facebook not giving a good way to opt out of ads on their platform. They would make people pay for that, so that's why they were fined. But Meta has been talking about making messages interoperable for over 2 years now, but it's really, really ironic. They were talking about this March 7th, 2024. One of the things is that they wanted their messaging service to be interoperable with third parties. And so this is what their idea was. This is what Meta thinks of decentralization, is that these third-party providers will all sign an agreement with Messenger or WhatsApp, and they'll work together, which means non-disclosure agreements, which means being under the thumb of Meta. And also, this is the interesting part too. This will be relevant later. The third-party providers have to construct message structures which are packaged into this extensible markup language. Now that's going to be this is going to be relevant later. They're also going to be encrypted using the Signal protocol, which many of your viewers know about Signal Messenger. So that's where that comes from. And this is a little diagram of what they expect it to be like. Now this is all really ironic because these third-party clients are supposed to connect to WhatsApp using this protocol, WhatsApp's protocol, based on this thing called Extensible Messaging Presence Protocol. Now that's what we're going to talk about today, this Extensible Messaging Presence Protocol, which has been around for 25 years, but Facebook is pretending like they're going to have to redesign this thing from scratch. And so there's also this open letter from XMPP, and I'll give a brief introduction, then I can go further into it. This is from one of the core developers of XMPP, which is a 25-year-old messaging protocol that WhatsApp was based on. And there's other platforms too that base their messaging on top of this. Now, they say that Meta has these gatekeeper agreements, must sign NDAs in order to work with them. There's an API-based control. Meta is going to be at the center of this interoperability network, which means they get to see all of the traffic coming in and out of the network. And of course, through that, even if these third-party providers decide to be interoperable with Meta, it also means that they can be tracked. And lastly, there's the scalability issue from all going through with Meta. So it's really interesting to see when you try and legislate big tech companies of the crazy things that they'll do and the millions of dollars that they'll allow themselves to get fined simply to not work with the technology that they're based on in the first place, which XMPP is decentralized, it's free, it's scalable, it already exists for tens of thousands of servers. But it's the insistence and stubbornness of companies like Meta that prevent us from having that.
Hakeem, you're blowing my mind. It can't possibly be true that you don't need to sign up with some agreement in order to work with Meta in order to have some sort of messaging platform that's interoperable. It can't be that there's already an open source decentralized protocol that was in fact the basis of many of the messaging apps that we have today that before they went proprietary and hidden behind screens. That can't be true. I would have heard about it otherwise, right? Or so some people might believe. But of course, most people, 99% of the public, have no idea what XMPP is. You just mentioned it there briefly, but give us some history on what is XMPP and why should people be aware of it?
Yes, my friend, it turns out XMPP was the silent hero, the chivalrous and handsome dude that no one noticed in the corner while they went out with the popular jock at school. And it was designed to combat this problem, which I'm sure we're all now aware of, is all of these competing circles that use different messengers and nothing is interoperable between them. That's an XKCD comic that I think is really relevant to this. And so this was in the 90s when XMPP was released. It was released after a number of other messengers, IRC in the 80s, and then messengers like AIM, MSN, and and Yahoo, that all became very popular in the 90s. So XMPP came off the back of them, and it was developed to bring interoperability into an already stratified messaging environment. This was the era of instant messaging. This was even before texting was very, very popular. And so XMPP became this collection of technologies that wanted to bridge all these networks together. In fact, AOL had a way for you to log into XMPP. Skype had interoperability with XMPP. So it's kind of this silent hero that's been around for a very long time. And today, it's grown. It's beautifully grown, and it has all these features that could replace things like WhatsApp, to replace things like Instagram. I'm just naming Facebook products here. Replacing things like Telegram. It could replace the audio and video calls and the end-to-end encrypted messaging. And there are a lot of people using XMPP, but they're kind of in this niche corner of the internet, and I would love for more people to use it.
You know, it occurs to me as you're talking, this doesn't sound like, incredibly important stuff, but it really is. And people may not even realize how important it is. And as an example, here's something. I'm an old fuddy-duddy. I still use email. Most of the people I work with, colleagues, contacts, email, come on, that's so old. But you know what the great thing about email is? I have my own email server. Somebody else has whatever, webmail from whatever, and we can still email each other. We don't have to all be on the same server and the same platform, all signed up with an account to the same company in order to email each other, which is kind of a good thing because it occurs to me, the Independent Media Alliance you mentioned there, they've had many panels. I haven't been on any of them because they all communicate on Telegram. And I'm not on Telegram. So there's basically, I'm not in the Independent Media Alliance. Really? Question mark? I don't know. Because I still rely on email. So wouldn't it be great if we had some sort of, way of messaging each other where we could all, you don't have to all sign up. You don't have to use the same software. You don't have to sign up for an account with the same service. You don't all have to give your phone number to Telegram in order to message each other. How could this possibly be done? XMPP, apparently.
You nailed it.
Tell us about it.
Yep, you nailed it, absolutely. XMPP is true decentralization. They call it federation, this characteristic of email where anyone can set up their own server and people can sign up under that server. And that server is responsible for sending your mails and receiving your mails from the internet. And then that way you can have multiple devices and they're all synced. The server handles all of that magic for you. And so there's many email servers out there. You don't have to worry about one single email server going down, although now we do worry about that because a significant amount of mail is on big tech providers. But if email stuck to its roots and had many decentralized servers, we would have something that looks more like XMPP. So XMPP is this standard, just like email. It's a consistent set of rules, a shared language computers can speak together. And because it's just a set of rules, anyone can develop XMPP software on any platform. They don't need a license from the XMPP Standards Foundation. They just need to make sure their software follows the protocol. So if you're using a Mac computer, there's a client for that. If you're using an Android phone, there's a client for that. And when I say client, I mean an app that interacts with XMPP. Similarly, it doesn't matter if you're going to run your own XMPP server, what platform you use, there's an XMPP server for that as well. So simply by running your own server, you can be responsible for your communications, but you really don't need to because there are many free servers out there. And I've written this guide called XMPP Getting Started, which will be in the show notes. And that will walk you through finding an XMPP server and finding an XMPP client and also starting to message with your friends. So if you download this and send it to a friend, you guys could be sharing secrets in no time. So the reason why XMPP is important is because it's existed for 25 years and it's still strong, it's stable, it's still advancing actually. And I have some funny stories towards the end of our conversation to share about that. But just like email, it hasn't gone away. It's just been silently there in the background doing its work. And to date, there's been over 500 extensions to the XMPP protocol, which have brought us things like end-to-end encrypted messaging, file sharing, groups, encrypted groups, and even things like audio and video calling that are also end-to-end encrypted. So this is the way that the core XMPP software can evolve. But the main difference is comparing it to other things like There's many other chat messengers out there, but a lot of these chat protocols, there's a centralized authority forcing updates on the rest of the network. So with XMPP, you can't be forced into implementing a feature you don't want. Now, people want to taste freedom and they want to taste decentralization, but they're overwhelmed with the choices. I mean, I think that's like the other half to it. When it comes to XMPP, you do have some more choices, and I hope we can walk through that together. But if anyone can develop a advancement to XMPP, and if it fills an important need, it can be accepted and promoted to the rest of the network. And then it's up to you. It's up to the server provider. Oh, this extension is really, really useful. Why don't we implement this? Or sometimes it becomes a need because there's spammers on the network, which there was, in fact, in 2024. So there's a lot of really cool features about it. And if you check out this guide, again, that's takebackertech.org/XMPP. It'll walk you through it.
Awesome. All right. But still, this, so much technical jargon, whatever. I mean, WhatsApp is easy to use, and Facebook Messenger, I know how to use that. But XMPP, I'm going to have to set up a server or connect to some server and use, what program do I use? Where do I down? You've already lost 97% of the public with all that tech talk. It's gonna take days, weeks, months probably to learn how to use this and to set it up, right?
I should have dumbed it down. No, I'm just joking. It won't. It'll take 5 minutes. And tell you what, James, let's do it right now. Let's get together on XMPP right now. Why don't I pull out my guide and I will pop up in this little square here. And so this is the guide that you'll download. And the first thing we'll need to do is we'll need to actually, first we'll realize, what does it look like? And James, this isn't an email. This is actually not an email. It's called a JID, a Jabber ID. Jabber is the original name for XMPP. Unfortunate choice of name, I think now. I don't want to get jabbed. But this is how you message anyone on the XMPP network. It's that easy. So when you register for an account, there are a number of different servers. But before we do that, we'll actually choose an XMPP client. So there's Android, iOS, and desktop clients. And what we'll do now is we'll just click on some of these to show you what's available. If you're using Android, this is a open source app catalog called F-Droid, and you can download this app called Cheogram. And what I really love about it, and not to get ahead of ourselves, but it will actually let you assign a phone number to your XMPP account, and then you can communicate with phone numbers. But we'll come back to that. So this is an Android app. There's also apps that you can get on iOS. There's one called Syskin IM, and so this is a desktop app, or actually this one is an iPad app, but you can get it on iPhone. And then there are apps you can use on desktop. Now the really cool part is, once you download this to your device and you also have it on your phone, your messages can be synced together. So you can actually have multiple devices seeing the same messages. So in reality, it feels just like iMessage. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go ahead and sign up for one of these services. So scrolling down to the section where we choose a server, there is you can go and see all the public servers for XMPP, which these are all free. These are all servers that people run out of the goodness of their heart. I honestly don't know why they run it, but they do. They want to serve the community. And so if you go to list.jabber.at, you can actually see this list of XMPP servers. And what I recommend for people to do is to look at their policies. So some of these will allow you to register openly. Obviously, the longer the server has been around, the more trustworthy it is. But you do want to look at their policies. Some of these are meant for people more in the hacker culture, and others are actually just meant for regular people, like Chatterbox Town. So if you look at Chatterbox Town, this is how easy it is. You pick a username. Let's do Solutions Watch, and then you can pick your server, and then you can pick a password. I'm going to pick a really good password. And then I think that is the CAPTCHA. And so just remember, when you pick your username and your server, this is going to be the username part, and then this is going to be the email part after. We're going to go ahead and register. Boom, that's it. You're done. So that part is really, really easy. Now you need to open up your XMPP client, which I have a few here. So let me open up Gaijin, and I already have an account logged in, but I'm going to add an account. So Solutions Watch at chatterboxtown.us. Oh, account, manage account, add account, Solutions Watch at chatterboxtown.us. Do your password, and then log in. Boom, that's it. So this is the official Solutions Watch account. I'll take all of James' correspondence from now on, since he doesn't accept anything else. And boom, and now if I have my recipient's JID, I can just add them. Here, I'm going to communicate with one of my computers here. Here we go. So add a contact. And so I'll just kind of leave it at that. So James, how difficult was that for you?
Well, it took all of under 5 minutes, I'd say. So, oh my God, how could anyone possibly do? Yes, it's doable. And again, for people who don't understand the significance of this, well, look, some people don't use messaging of any sort, and great, peace be with you. But for those of us who do talk to people online, yes, there are many reasons why you would want a decentralized open source protocol like this that can be used by anyone through any server that you set up or one that you join. Wonderful. But you know what really what I really picked up on there? Phone numbers? You can tie this into a phone number? What are you talking about?
All right, perfect. So yes, you can tie this into phone numbers. I do want to show you one thing, and then I'm going to tell you all about the phone numbers. And so I have this opened up here. This is a note to myself. So there's a lot of different recipes you can use. And what I want to show you is, I don't know if you can see my entire screen, but I'll try and make it as big as possible. You notice this lock in the bottom right-hand corner. Now I have this open on my computer, and I also have it open on my phone, which this is the phone right here. And so if I wanted to write a note to myself, you'll see it shows up just like that. And so it makes it perfect. If I add on encryption, you can send any file to yourself and your server operator can't even see it. So there are lots of little recipes like this you can use and make this a perfect use case for sensitive communication, maybe with small groups of people. But James, let me tell you about these phone numbers, because this is what actually makes it useful. You're probably going to use it more for this phone number functionality. And so I'll open up my XMPP client. Remember, it's called Chiogram on Android. By this point, you're going to need to be signed up for an XMPP server. But you'll notice here, there are phone numbers in my contact history. And so if I go to these, you'll see that it copies the same format as a Jabber ID or an XMPP ID. And it's got the phone number at chiogram.com. That's because the good folks on Chiogram have developed a bridge that will take any messages or call requests sent to that server and will actually route them through the phone network. So for only $5 a month, and your first month is free if you purchase Above Suite, which is our suite of software services, you can call and text people internationally. You can receive text messages, you can receive voicemails, and you get this all for $5 a month. You get about 2 hours of call time a month, and it's great because there's an app on your phone that does all the magic for you, so you don't have to try very hard to communicate. So I'm just showing off with the voice keyboard available on Above Phone, and once you send this out, it arrives at the other person's phone number. They can't tell the difference. They don't know about XMPP. You don't want to blow their head up. It looks like a phone number to them. And And that's why this is really, really cool. And plus, you get to pick your own phone number. You can pick angel numbers if you're spiritual, 1337 if you're a hacker type, all that good stuff.
Only leet speak for me. Yes. Incredible. And yeah, you kind of just blew by that. But there's audio messaging as well as part of XMPP. Question mark?
Yes. So this is a combo of a few things. So that's wrong. Here we go. So I was showing you the voice keyboard on the above phone, and there is audio messaging as well. So you can see you can attach. Let me go to. I'm talking to myself here, and so I can record voice, and I can just attach this as a regular message. It comes out as a file, and then you can just send it along like that. Now, it might yell at me here in a second. There we go. Just took a second. But yeah, it comes out as a message that's playable. You could also send any sorts of pictures. You can send videos. Of course, if you're sending a huge video, XMPP is not the best for that. There are other solutions, but don't send 1 gigabyte file. You can also send your location, which is really, really cool. In the future, I foresee, maps being built into XMPP, or you click on their location coordinate and it shows up in your open source maps. So there's, this is one piece of the puzzle, and it doesn't try to be everything. But imagine opening it in an OpenStreetMap, which you've downloaded directly to your phone. So now you can stay in touch with people and also find them on a map and do it almost offline. So there's the phone number, and then there's also the ability to call people. You can do audio calls, and you can also do video calls. And the video calls are surprisingly really good. Now, the thing about XMPP is, depending on the server, your mileage will vary. Because you need a properly run XMPP server. We offer one through us. Normally, you don't pay for XMPP. We do charge you to use our XMPP server. That's part of the deal we have. But we run it really, really well, and it comes with all these different services. So if you sign up to our suite, this is abovephone.com/suite, you will get this XMPP account for encrypted messaging, and then you'll also get a month free of your JMP chat phone number. And so you get all these other services too, which I won't get into. But it's important to note you have all these features available to you, and they could potentially replace your need for a phone. A lot of our customers use their phones without SIM cards and use Wi-Fi only thanks to this technology. So it's really great.
Incredible. Yes. I mean, that's worth the price of admission right there, as far as I'm concerned. You know what? I think we have sold this as well as we're going to sell it to the audience. If they're not interested in this by now, they're probably not going to be interested in it. So for those who are interested, correct me if I'm wrong, it is takebackourtech.org/XMPP, correct?
That's right, takebackourtech.org/XMPP. Download the Getting Started guide. Remember to send it to a friend. That way you have someone to talk to. You won't be so lonely. And within a few minutes, you'll be able to talk to each other. So it's really, really great. All my closest friends, I get them connected on XMPP. And James, if we have more time, I'd like to share a little story about how XMPP actually evolved in front of my eyes.
Let's do it.
So people ask, like, okay, so there's no centralized body. How does community of XMPP servers self-govern? No one can force each other what to do on the network. And so in 2024, we were tested by one lone troubled individual. Bless his heart, he was a very legendary person, but his name was Morph. And at that time, XMPP was kind of like the Wild West. There would be users that would come into these multi-user chat rooms, which we didn't even get to talk about that, but there are chat rooms full of people that you can go into and talk about different subjects, maybe about geopolitics or about technology. Most of them are around technology. And this person was likely a programmer, and he was the single largest cause of spam in XMPP history. He was, bless his heart, he was troubled. He would be racist, and he would accuse others of being racist, and just a very disagreeable person. He would pretend like you were a tyrant the moment you complained about his behavior, and then he would flood all the rooms with hundreds of messages, if not thousands of messages, and he caused almost every public room on XMPP to go on high alert. and to kind of lock it down and do moderation. So what ended up happening after this one server put out an announcement, a bunch of people came together, server operators, and actually developed a solution which was a shared block list. And my room included. It was brigaded by this person. So quickly we implemented this, and it's called real-time block list, and it was enabled on every server that cared about their group. And within a matter of weeks, the problem was solved because all of his accounts got banned very, very quickly as people discovered them showing up in his rooms. So the final result was there was one malicious person trying to create problems for the rest of the network, but with voluntary principles and with working together, the network figured it out for itself. So we don't need these big tech companies to tell us what to do. We can moderate ourselves. We can govern ourselves.
Well, that's kind of my message in general, and it's good to have specific examples of that. So thank you for sharing that. As I say, I hope people are at least interested in checking it out. 5 minutes of your time, maybe 10 if you're slow. I think it's at least an investment you should be making. Although, as you say, people probably need friends if they're gonna do messaging. So tell your friend about it too. On that note, as I say, people might just be encountering Take Back Our Tech for the first time. They might be just be encountering Above for the first time. I know personally, I certainly know about the Above phone, but you have the Above privacy suite. You have Above laptops. What else do you have over there?
Yeah, thanks, James. Yeah, so we are building these products for people to try out, and one thing was really obvious to us is they needed to be easier. So this is our website, abovephone.com, where we have these privacy phones, tablets, and laptops available for purchase. One of our principles is to build technology that is completely based on open source software. So our phones run a de-ruled operating system called Graphene OS. All of the apps on the phone are also using free and open source software. We designed a Linux operating system based off of Arch Linux, and we've just tried to make it as easy to use as possible. So that's our motto. We're conscious technology that's better than big tech, and so we have these phones available. So if you go to abovephone.com, you'll be able to pick between phones and laptops. Just full disclaimer, I'm not just, I don't preach this stuff. Everything that I do is based on our products too. So I'm dog fooding this, I'm using this stuff all the time, and you can get some amazing work done. For instance, I'm using our laptop right now, and one of the things that I really like about it is you can use Microsoft Office suites. So this is using a thing called OnlyOffice, and it's very blown up right now. But as soon as I reset this, it'll come back to normal. And it's an Office suite that's completely compatible with Microsoft formats. So people think that they're going to lose out on their work, but they're actually not. It's completely compatible with it. There's also things like this software store that allow you to install an app from anywhere in the Linux ecosystem. Arch Linux is beautiful for that reason. You can look up stuff like, you can even look up junk food, gross, big tech apps like Spotify, and you can install them in one click. So normally using Linux is kind of hard. You need to use like terminal commands and stuff. We were like, no, we don't want to do all that. We just want to point and click because people have better things to do, to be honest. And so we try to do that with our phones and laptops. It's going to greatly improve your privacy, greatly improve your freedom, and it comes with all the support you need to get started.
That all sounds fantastic, but did you just use dog food as a verb? I've never heard that before.
Dog fooding. Yeah, that's like a thing. That's like a thing in like startup land where where when you're making a product, you use it internally, and it's like, I'm eating my own dog food. It's kind of gross to think about it.
I am definitely adding that to my vocabulary. Thank you for that. Okay. All right. So it's takebackourtech.org and above.com? No.
Abovephone.com. Yes. And I just one quick thing. If you're new to technology, just know that if you purchase a device, you get a free 45-minute call with a real person, not an AI. We'd love to support you. Come talk to us. And thank you again, James, for having me on.
No problem, Hakeem. It was fascinating and informative as always. And if anyone does actually sign up and get started with XMPP, they can, of course, message you at solutionswatch at chatterbox.us. And if anybody has any big complaints and wants to say how much they hate me and this show, they can message you at solutionswatch at chatterbox.us, and you'll be there to answer all their problems and questions, right?
We can post here. We'll do an experiment. We'll post my the XMPP ID I made, and this is just on a demo device. But if you want James to create an XMPP room, yell at me on this XMPP ID. And if
We'll
like
see.
a million
We'll
people
see
do it,
how
I'm
many
like,
people
James.
take you up. Yeah. If there's interest, let's do it. But we'll see. All right. Awesome. Hakeem, let's leave it there for today, but I'm sure we'll be talking again in the future. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure, James. Thanks again.